that's why I know we talked about it podcast ago, that a sign of mental wellness and mental health is flexibility.
Yes.
And that's really what you role modeled and have given your daughter. As scary and daunting as change can be, right? It doesn't feel good. It's very uncomfortable. But yet you guys confronted this opportunity, and you guys didn't let the change basically control you and intimidate you guys into staying stuck.
Interesting, because seasons happen. Sometimes we don't think about the season that we're going through when we're going through it, because we're so busy in the daily grind of everything that we're doing, that we fail to step back and look at the season and enjoy it.
Right.
You know, because we're so busy and life is so hard, but it truly is just a season. And whether we like to see it or not, change happens. Welcome, Linwood Unified, to a new school year, 25-26 school year. And again, Beyond the Classroom, thank you for those of you who have reopened this podcast to hear the exciting news. And it's a little hard for me to say this, you know, but transition is hard, but it happens in all of our lives. And here we are transitioning. So I'm not sure, for many of you might know, some of you might not know, I'm stepping into a new role. And my new role is Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services here for Linwood Unified. So I've been blessed to have that new role. And with that being said, if you were a viewer of Beyond the Classroom last year, I was the host. And we had many guests, like Sarah Barnes was one of them, and many other amazing Linwood Unified School District people that work here and offer all kinds of services to our families, some of our partners. So we hosted this podcast all of last year, and I'm happy to say that we were even recognized with an award with the National School Communications Publications Office, and we went to Washington, D.C. in July to receive this award. So many families logged in weekly and heard, you know, our podcast. So thank you to all the families that listened, and staff. You know, a lot of our classified staff and certificated staff logged in and have stated that they enjoyed it. So thank you to the families and staff who have returned to hear our podcast for this year. So with that being said, as I step into my new role, I can no longer continue being a host to this podcast. I can be a guest, but I will not be a host. And I'm here to introduce you to our new host, Sarah Barnes. So Sarah Barnes comes to us with over 20 years of experience in mental health and 10 years of experience here in Linwood Unified as a licensed clinical social worker. Most recently, the last 3 years, she's been our licensed clinical social worker supervisor. So she has a lot of experience in dealing with a lot of support for our families, for, you know, the community, and she brings a lot of wealth. So I know you are in good hands, and we're going to talk today a little bit about change. And I know this change has been hard for you.
It is. It is. Change is not always easy.
Yeah.
But first, I want to say congratulations on this new role.
Thank you.
I've been under her leadership, like she said, for nearly 10 years, and I have grown so much under your leadership. I've been challenged a lot by you, and it is an honor that you're giving me this opportunity to now host this podcast. And these are really big shoes to fill.
It's only a size 5, so don't worry. Not that much.
But I'm looking forward to this opportunity and to keep growing. I know this will be a challenge worthy of being met on.
Yeah.
So thank you for this opportunity.
You're welcome. You deserve it. Like, you've done a lot for our mental health program here. We've expanded our mental health program from back when Sarah started 10 years ago. We had 2 licensed clinical social workers. Now we have 8 and 3 in special education, so 10, 11, 12 with you. And we provide so many services district-wide. And that's something to really be proud of, because we know the importance of mental health, right? As a district, we value you guys as licensed clinical social workers, because you're able to provide services to our families, because we want our families well. And that's the reason for this podcast, because a lot of times parents and classified staff and certificated staff, they can't go to in-person workshops.
Right.
So we figured if we can bring even 1 minute of an important topic of information, 5 minutes of important information, it can be transferred through our phones, through YouTube, through our Instagram, through whatever channels we can. So we value what licensed clinical social workers do, the SEL specialists, all the resources that we have as a district. We value you guys, and you guys have done an amazing job with expanding our programs, and I know you're going to do well in this position. But thank you for that. And change is hard.
Yeah, it is.
You know, one of the things that I told Sarah, that change, it's interesting because seasons happen. Sometimes we don't think about the season that we're going through when we're going through it, because we're so busy in the daily grind of everything that we're doing, that we fail to step back and look at the season and enjoy it.
Right.
You know, because we're so busy and life is so hard. But it truly is just a season. And whether we like to see it or not, change happens.
Right.
Right? One of the things I was telling Sarah and a lot of my colleagues is change is hard even as parents, you know, and being that this podcast is created for our families, is how do we navigate change?
Right.
Right? And stay emotionally stable and continue to work towards whatever goals we have. You know, I'll personally talk about, you know, my current change, not only in this position, but in my personal life, and that's taking my daughter to college.
It's a big step.
It's a big step. And one of the things that, you know, as parents, we always have things in our mind of what we're going to do as parents.
Right.
Right? And what we're going to allow our kids to do, not allow our kids to do. We think that that's what's going to happen, and then the kids throw us off.
Yeah, off your equilibrium.
Yeah, so
how have you been doing since this change? It's pretty much you guys are empty nesters now, and that's a big change as a family, as a couple, as parents. So how are you guys navigating the challenges of seeing your daughter off as she explores, you know, her adulthood now and is finding her own way?
Yeah. So originally I am in education, and, you know, I do believe education changes the lives of everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm an advocate. Everyone needs education. But when it came to my daughter, I wanted her to stay home. I wanted her to go to a local college. You know, there's wonderful universities here in California. You know, Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Dominguez, Cal State Fullerton. So when she worked really hard and got accepted to Cal State San Luis Obispo, I didn't know how to handle that. I was like, it's an amazing school, an amazing program. And I think through the support of beyond the classroom, people I talked to, you know, I became open to allowing her to have that growth. Because it's hard to let your kids go.
Right.
You want to do what you want to do, and we're used to taking care of them every single day. I didn't want my baby to leave, you know, but she earned it. And I reflected, and I'm like, how am I going to keep her from that opportunity?
Right, right.
So when I changed my mindset on how I was going to handle this, everything changed, I think.
Right. And I think that's a key component of like a barrier to growth and change, is having that rigid mindset of, I know what I want and I'm going to do it, and it's going to be my way and it's not going to be your way. And then we stunt the growth of others and we stunt our own growth, right?
Yes.
And that's why I know we talked about it podcast ago, that a sign of mental wellness and mental health is flexibility.
Yes.
And that's really what you role modeled and have given your daughter, as scary and daunting as change can be, right? It doesn't feel good, it's very uncomfortable, but yet you guys confronted this opportunity, and you guys didn't let the change basically control you and intimidate you guys into staying stuck.
Yes.
Right? So.
And you're absolutely right, because when you told me that, when we talked about it in the past, we weren't even talking about my situation, but that's the power of words, that when we say words, even if we're not intended to say it to that person's going to take it to whatever their situation is.
Right.
Right? So when you said, I think you told me something about having a healthy mindset of flexibility helps deal with different challenges. So I think that flexibility helped me be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it's only been a week.
Right.
I miss her a lot.
But to even get there, there's a lot of preparation, right?
It's been a
have
whole
to walk
year.
through all of that.
It's been a whole year of preparation. Well, it's been 12 years. It's been 15 years.
Lifetime.
It's been a lifetime of preparation, because you think about the second your baby's born, you want to start teaching your baby, make sure they walk and talk and, preschool.
Meet their milestones.
And I was very intentional with what schools they attended, what high schools they attended, what classes they were taking. And then I'm thinking, why would I take this opportunity, which is what I trained her for? That's what I trained her for. That's what I trained my kids for. That when college came, these amazing opportunities would come. And then I'm like, but then I'm going to
shut the door.
Shut the door of something that I've been training for. So, but having that flexibility, I think, is power. And I think has helped me be very open to, Mexican culture. Like when I was growing up, you don't go away to college. You stay home until you get married. Like that's the norm in the Mexican culture. I think our generation has changed that, where we're more open to our kids leaving, but it still was hard for me. But I literally, and you know this because we worked close together, I had to change my mindset.
Right.
So, but fast forward to dropping her off, I was very proud of myself because I didn't want to show to her too much like, I'm going to miss you, because she has her own changes, where she had to go to a whole new place, leave her home. And while I did tell her, I'm going to miss you, but it's going to be okay. Like, I'm still here, so it's been good. It's been good. Like, I'm happy. I'm proud of her.
You're probably proud of yourself too, and how you're.
I'm really proud of myself.
All of this
I think I'm more proud of myself than I am proud of her, because being as an adult, change is harder for us as adults than kids. Sometimes kids don't even know what they're just going through it. But we're set in our ways. Right. So changing our mindset, I think, is very. It takes a lot of effort and work.
It does. It takes intentional work. And part of that intentional work is always adding to our knowledge, which you're really good at. Being in this realm of education and academics, I think that's one thing that you've really promoted within at least our Department of Student Services is always grow, always seek education. Because at the end of the day, you could have conversations that are rooted in knowledge, right? And knowledge can breed knowledge, and it really taps into, I think, the vulnerabilities of other people and their weaknesses, and not just gives them insight, but gives them motivation to say, oh, wait, I do struggle with this. That is my weakness, or that is my fear, that is my insecurity. And then when we have these conversations and these challenged ideas, then we're kind of provoked to, like, I think, step up and, all right, I'm going to conquer my fears and deal with things that make me feel uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy for people just to see you. Like, people probably see me, they're like, oh, she's so put together. Like, she has the, like, people don't see the struggle behind getting here, I've struggled, like, even getting to this level, but I think having the mindset of don't give up, it's very powerful. 2, looking at things in a really positive way. When people focus on the negative, it's really easy to stay in that zone, right? But when you focus on, okay, you have a negative situation, right? But from that negative, we don't know why that situation happened. Or we don't know why something was thrown at us this way versus this way. It does cause growth when we look at things like, you know what? Maybe it wasn't meant to be this way. Maybe it was meant to be this way so we can grow as people.
Right.
So I've always been that way. Like, I have challenges every day like everybody does.
And I think people need to be aware of that. I think it's easy to look at you and be like, you look the part, you have the articulation, and it's like, okay, you have it all together. She must not struggle, right? And I think this is the power of these conversations and these podcasts, is you can identify what some of those struggles are. Because when people look at us from the outside, it's easy to make assumptions about other people and not even know, like, are you having difficulty sleeping? Are you dealing with any stress or anxiety yourself? Were there deaths in the family? Are your children experiencing disabilities or sicknesses or any type of infirmities, right? Are there financial problems happening in the home? So I think even with the transparency that you present to our department and your team, I think that let us all know we're all part of the human race, but even more than that, we're all humans and nobody is above struggle. Nobody is above the challenge. So what were some of the struggles, I would say, maybe as a parent leading up to like letting go of your daughter and letting her fly the coop, and how did you tackle that?
Yeah.
I know we talked about preparation a little bit.
Yeah.
But what were some of those struggles? Yeah,
I think allowing her, if you know me, you know me, and a lot of families that have told me that they watch the podcast know me as an administrator and stuff like that. I'm very action oriented. When I have a problem or someone brings me a problem, I always tell you, either bring me a solution when you bring me a problem, or I'm going to bring the solution and you're going to do it whether you like it or not. So I always say,
so you're not coddling the problem.
I'm not coddling the problem.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, and you know me, I'm going to be like, what are we going to do to fix the problem? And one of the struggles that I had to overcome was allowing her to not only fix any problems that came about it, but this whole process of her going to college, getting her dorm, what does she need?
So essentially what you're saying, I'm going to kind of paraphrase it.
Yeah.
Because you're a leader.
Yeah.
In the home, in the workplace. So you had to like tone it down and step back.
I had to step back.
And basically release control.
I had to step back. I had to release control because I had to put it in my head that, okay, if she's going to be independent on her own living without me there, I have to train her while I'm still with her. Where I can still help if I see I need to step in. Because if I let her do it for the first time when she's on her own, that's not going to help her.
Right.
So I had to step back the last year. Like, she would email me, and she would email me stuff and say, hey, Mom, this needs to get taken care of. So I would reply to her, take care of it.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need my help. Yeah. That was hard for me because sometimes I wanted to just make it happen.
Right.
Like, let me call a school, let me do this, let me do that. No. And then one of the things that happens, and I think a lot of parents that have adult children, is once they turn 18, you can't talk to anybody. You can't talk to their doctor without their consent. You can't talk to their school without their consent. So it's something you have to get used to. Like, you have Kaysen. This is Kaysen. Kaysen's her son. He's what, 10?
He's 10 now.
Okay, imagine you've been taking care of his appointments. You've been taking care of everything for him.
Right.
So from one day to another, he's 17. One day he's 18. You call the doctor and you're like, I'm calling to make his appointment, and they say, I'm sorry, but we need to talk to Kaysen. That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah. So I had to accept, but again, that goes back to the mindset.
Right.
I had to put myself in the mindset, even though it frustrated me, because one of the times I did talk to someone at the school, and they told me, oh, I have to get her consent. And I said, are you going to call her when the bill is due? Yeah. Like, I got frustrated because I still want to, but I had to learn to step back and allow her to fix whatever needed to be fixed. And
it makes sense because, like, had you not weaned her into that and taking ownership of some of her own responsibilities, it's like a bird flying with one less wing, right? It would have, I think, shocked her, and then it's sink or swim, and then you're probably going to sink because you don't have the muscles. You haven't built the muscles to really be able to execute any of these responsibilities at her age. Because if we coddle them and we do everything for them, then it's a disservice to them. We limit them, right? Yeah. So that mindset, you're like, okay, we're going to prepare in advance a little bit so you could do this on your own when the time comes.
So I had to change who I was with her.
That's so hard as a parent.
It's so hard. It's so hard, but look.
Especially the maternal instinct.
It is. It's so hard, but I think I feel really good right now because I've already had examples of me doing that has helped her. For example, again, we dropped her off last week, and there were things that she needed to take care of. And she called me. I couldn't answer because I was at work, and I was in a long meeting. So, part of me was like, I want to answer, but I couldn't, right? So I let it go. she texted me later and said, Mom, I can handle this. I just had this problem. I called you to fix it. I was able to fix it. And I wanted to cry. I know you want to cry too, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I saw it when she told me that. I was like, good, I'm proud of you.
So you gave her, without even knowing, probably in the moment, there was like this long pause, and it gave her the opportunity to figure it out on her own.
And that's the hard part as a parent.
That's the pause.
Because you don't want nothing to happen to your parent.
Yeah.
I mean, to your child.
Right.
So I had to change. I had to not be the action person that I am. But honestly, I've been loving it because I can now self-care.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we talk about self-care all the time, and we're focused on them.
Right.
We really focus on our kids. And even some parents do it till the kids are like 30, 40 and, you know, whatever. But that affects us.
Yeah.
So I had to learn to not be the action person that I am. I had to change who I am. And you've known me for 10 years, and you know I've changed who I am.
Right.
I've had to.
To let go.
I've had to let go. And because I'm thinking...
Because we trust ourselves enough to know that we could do it, and we could get certain things done as parents, as professionals, and so forth.
Yeah.
And stepping back will not just be hard for us, but it does allow other people to step up and grow and show their potentials.
Yes.
And show what they're capable of doing, the capacity that they have. And we could either be part of their growth or really stunt that, right?
And I think that way as a leader too. Like bringing it back to here, you know, as director of student services that I did. So for those of you who don't know, I was a teacher. I was an instructional assistant, an assistant principal, a coordinator, a director, and now the new assistant superintendent. So I've been here 23 years. And those of you who know how I've led, but if you don't know, I'm a big believer in bringing the staff up. Like, I like to give people the capacity of things that they don't even think they might be able to do. Because a lot of times we live in doubt.
Right.
We live in doubt and we think we could never do that, you know? But when we start doing little changes, like we're talking about change, right? When we start allowing for little changes to happen, I think that you'd be surprised on how your life can change.
Right.
You know, so I you know, one of my secretaries, she's going to probably hear this because she hears this podcast. She was my secretary when I was the principal at at Vista High School. And I remember I would be like, when are you going back to school? It's because everyone has something to offer.
Right.
People sometimes don't see in themselves what others see in them.
It's that old cliche, we're our worst critic.
We are our worst critic, you know.
And our greatest hindrance.
Yes, we are. And I'm a believer in people. Like that's just, you know, that's just who I am because someone believed in me. And when I see that, I'm like, I've always admired that. Like we have the power to bring each other up.
Right.
Like, I think especially now with what's happening, you know, in the world, we need more of that.
Right.
We need more unity. We need to work together. And things do start in our circles, like in order to make greater change, you know? So,
I think that's what you are good at. I mean, there's an old saying, like life and death is on the tongue, right? And either you could speak life into somebody or you speak death into them. And by death, it could just be a put down. It could be joking around negatively, right? Teasing people excessively, and or capitalizing on their what you see in them, right?
Yeah.
And pouring life into that with your words, speaking that positivity,
Yeah.
and that's why I think I'm where I'm at today, because you didn't just give me opportunity, but you saw something, and it allowed me opportunity to show and prove, oh, I am capable of doing certain tasks and certain duties and certain responsibilities. But had you not seen that in me, then I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah, no, you have a lot of abilities. You're welcome. And I think a lot of, like, especially us when we lead our kids, you know, here in Linwood, I say kids like our kids, but our students, you know, our students, even when I meet with parents, you know, they talk to me about different things. And then I tell them, you can go back and get your high school diploma too. And they're like, oh no. I go, yeah, you can. You can take your GED. It's equivalent to a high school diploma.
Right.
Because I do believe in the power of words.
Right.
And we can build people or we can break people.
Yeah, and one of the most powerful influencers are our teachers.
Yes.
Right? And man, they make such a difference in our kids. I remember all of my elementary teachers, every single one of them from kindergarten to 6th grade. And I remember them by name, and I remember them just by, I think, how they treated me and like their role modeling. And I really can't remember high school teachers that much, but in my most, I think, impressionable years, all my elementary teachers made such a difference. And nobody knows what those kids are going through. Like, my parents divorced when I was 4 years old. We moved houses around the time I was in like 3rd grade from one location to another location. But I remember all the teachers. I remember like when I was moving, my teacher's like, "You're moving? Are you leaving our school?" And I was like, "No," but she showed that she cared, right? Her name was Mrs. Sung. But man, the words of teachers, of just who were around, like you said, positivity. And when we're not speaking life into our students, into our children, even like my own son, he's going through a transition. I think I've shared this with you. And I want to stay in my maternal lane. And it's so easy because there's no man in the home to want to come into like this paternal, masculine energy in that role. But like, I'm doing a disservice to him. So I have to step back and stay in my lane as a mother and look for like outsource. Who can be a man to be a male role model to him, so that way I could stay in my maternal lane and not confuse him in other ways, right, as he's growing up. So again, like, we're constantly role modeling. And the key word, I think we were going to talk a little bit about resilience with change, right? How have you modeled resiliency, whether it's here in your leadership role or to your family at home, that they now have learned, like what your daughter gave her the opportunity? Mom, I took care of it. I handled it. How have you role modeled resiliency as a whole in, I guess, multiple settings?
Yeah. I think one of the ways you model resilience is, one, being honest, because if people don't see that you're having a challenge, they're not going to know that you overcame that challenge. So I think allowing people to see you as a person, and not everything's not perfect. Like, being honest when something is hard, and being able to show feelings when, and that's hard for me because I'm not a feelings person. Or let me say, I wasn't a feelings person.
Well, we all have feelings, but we all deal with them differently.
Yeah, and my whole life has been very, I've never, made feelings a priority. I've been very, like I said, action. Let's just make things happen. And not dwell too much when I'm sad or when I'm mad or whatever. But I think resilience comes from having challenges. I think if you don't have challenges, how are you going to know how to be resilient?
Right.
Like, if everything's always given to you and it's perfect, like, how do you become resilient?
Right.
So I think for me personally, sharing my story and sharing how I've overcome different challenges has helped me be resilient, and has shown people, like, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think that's my goal when I continue in these leadership roles, is showing our family, our students, our staff that, look, I didn't come from privilege.
Right.
Like, I came from 2 hardworking immigrants that came into this country with nothing. And they showed me resilience, and I've been able to work hard in the middle of not having money, not having, every new shoe that came out, like the new shoes. We give our kids whatever they want, right? But I think that takes away from the resilience that they could build.
Right.
So showing the challenges that I've gone through, the challenges that I continue going through, because I'm human and nothing's going to be perfect. Like, I've shared my challenges when my daughter was going through her challenges, right? Like, I've shared that, and how do we overcome it? Staying positive, relying on your team. Everyone needs to have a team. It doesn't have to be like what everybody thinks, like, oh, but I don't have a partner. It's okay. Find someone else.
Right.
You need to be able to be vulnerable, and I think I've had to do that, to rely on our team so that we can continue moving forward. So showing your weakness and showing your story.
Yeah. And I would say growing up, and I know you can agree because you highlighted it with the Mexican culture, me having been raised in a predominantly like Costa Rican, Colombian home, nobody talked about feelings. They expressed a, an emotion, but it was often the emotion of anger, and that was it. But nobody communicated and expressed themselves in ways that were clear and not confusing, right? So I think now, like we're doing differently with our children. So I think sharing your story is very powerful. And that's why these like folklore and these fables and these proverbs and these books that we share with children, they all teach lessons because it's a story that's being taught your child that teach life lessons. But how much more powerful can it be when we're transparent with our children and sharing with them, like you said, the key word was honest. Like, let's be honest and share that honest information, that honest story about what we have been through, we've experienced. That way they don't necessarily always have to learn from mistakes. It's powerful to learn from mistakes. But maybe they don't have to make the same mistake that we made because we shared with them our story and our consequences. So maybe they could choose more wisely or choose a little bit differently or maybe better for themselves.
And that's the goal. I think that's the goal for all parents. It's like they see what we hope that they learn, you know. But, you know, I do tell my kids, I'm very big on you're going to learn through experience, you know. But anything I can do to help so they don't have to redo something, I will.
Right.
And I try to highlight that for them.
And I think that's a foundation. Like, what is connected to the story is basically relationship. Yeah. So when you're sharing your story, you're building the bond so much more strongly, hopefully like with your children, and then they start to trust you more, and then they open up more. And it's like this two-way street. The more I open, the more my child's like, oh, you're human. I can open up to you. You get me. You understand me. So I'm going to share more. I hide less. I could be more transparent. I could share with you my skeletons. And then even from there, it's like at the end of the day, you become like an anchor for your children because that relationship is the foundation to their success.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? And going back to change within that relationship, the thing about parenting is that we have to constantly be changing who we are during those stages. Yeah. So those relationships remain strong. Right. Like when they're little, like they do anything you say, they love you, and
your little angels.
Your little angels, they believe everything, but then they start getting older, and then they start changing, they start having more comments, like they start paying attention to more things. So then you're expecting the same baby that you had, but now you're having a more opinionated, right? And then forget the teenagers. That's a whole nother, and then you get into the teen years. So then you get into the adult years. So we're constantly changing.
Yeah.
And we have to change so those relationships remain strong.
It's so true.
And it is not easy.
No. And when something that helps me to keep perspective so I don't always lose it with my son, which sometimes I lose it, you know. But it's this acknowledgement of, and I literally have to verbalize this to my son, I've never been a parent of a 10-year-old boy before. And I know next year it'll be, I've never been a parent of an 11-year-old boy, eventually 16. I've never been here before. And whether you have like 4 or 5 kids, because they all have their own personalities and temperaments, we've never been a parent to that specific child.
Right.
And that forces us to grow if we're open to growth.
Yes. I think that is so powerful. I tell my kids that every time. I've never been a parent to a young adult. Like I'm learning the same time you're learning. So I think parents have grace for yourselves, because if you've never been in that situation, and even if you have, this child could be different.
Right.
So you've never been a parent to that child.
Right.
In that personality. That's a whole nother world.
That's how I feel with my daughter.
Yeah.
I feel like I've never parented before. Now that I'm the mother, I have a 2-year-old daughter. I feel like I've never been a parent before. And it's insane because they're so different.
Because you haven't been a parent to a girl.
I haven't.
And girls are different than boys.
Right, right.
So
we're always learning.
Yeah, so change is hard. But it can be a good thing. Yeah. Also.
It's a beautiful thing because it shows us not just our resilience, but what we're capable of. And if we're not willing to face that change, we can miss out on so many beautiful opportunities and moments for ourselves and really in connection with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we avoid change and if we run from it, we're really doing a hindrance to ourselves in so many ways.
So with that being said, thank you for taking this podcast. This was very near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure you'll see me again as a guest. I'm more than happy to be here, but I have different roles to fill now. I'm very excited for that role, and I'm sure families will see me around for back to school nights, different events district wide. So I'm very excited for that new stage of my life. The new stage of being a parent to a college student, and I have another son who's also in college, who's still at home. So that's another stage, but it's exciting. Yeah. It's all exciting, and it's not easy. There's challenges. So I don't want people to think like everything's perfect,
right?
Because it's not, So there's a lot of good things happening. There's a lot of good things happening here in Linwood Unified. In addition to me having this new role, we have a new superintendent. Yes. Dr. Giddes Rabungo, we're so excited.
Dr. G, if you want to call him Dr. G.
He says he has the longest name in history, but he actually came in the podcast last year. So if you're interested in hearing that podcast, please go to YouTube. But thank you, Sarah. Thank you for this podcast.
Thank you for this opportunity. And to the families, I just want to encourage you, continue to tune in. Our goal is to give you information so that really you know that you're not alone in the struggle and in the challenges of life. And if we could help you in any way, feel free to reach out to Student Services Department, because we just want to see everybody grow and be their best selves within Linwood Unified School District and the Linwood community at large. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you.
It's brand new, and I'm looking forward to tackling the challenge.
Good. I'm so excited, and I know this is going to go to another level, so I'm excited for that. And I want to remind the families one last time, if I may, that district-wide, we have licensed clinical social workers, we have SEL specialists, we have community school case managers, we have community liaisons at every school site. Please reach out. If you're having any other challenges that you want to talk to somebody, please do not be scared to go to your school. Everybody's there. Everybody knows their role, and we want to make sure you know that there are resources out there for you. And you're not alone. We're here to support you and guide you through this process. And we're so excited that you were able to hang on and listen to our podcast. I know it was a little longer than expected, but we get very excited
passionate.
We're very passionate about these conversations. So thank you for joining us. And we look forward to the next episode with Beyond the Classroom. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.